Subscribe for more videos. President Trump is expected to tell Russia Friday that the US is pulling out of another treaty. It's the third major retreat from arms control agreements. This one is called the Open Skies Treaty. It was put in place in 1992, and designed to reduce the risk of military miscalculations that could lead to war. President Donald Trump will inform Russia today that the United States is pulling out of the Open Skies Treaty, negotiated 3 decades ago to allow nations to fly over one another's territory with elaborate sensor equipment to assure they are not preparing for military action, senior administration officials said. It allows short-notice, unarmed flights over the other treaty countries to collect data on military forces and activities. The goal is to ensure stability and predictability and cut down on the risk of misunderstandings. But Jonathan Hoffman, assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs, says Russia hasn't complied with the treaty. U.S. officials have long complained that Moscow was violating the Open Skies Accord by not permitting flights over a city where it was believed Russia was deploying nuclear weapons that could reach Europe, as well as forbidding flights over major Russian military exercises. Satellites, the main source for gathering intelligence, are not affected by the treaty. What I can tell you is that Russia flagrantly and continuously violates its obligations under Open Skies and implements the treaty in ways that contribute to military threats against the United States and our allies and partners, he said. The New York Times reported on the decision Thursday, saying Russia will likely look at this move as evidence that President Trump also plans to leave the last remaining major arms treaty with Russia. "You reach a point at which you need to say enough is enough," said Marshall Billingsley, Trump's new special representative for arms control. "The United States cannot keep participating in this treaty if Russia is going to violate it with impunity." In classified reports, the Pentagon and U.S. intelligence agencies have contended the Russians are also using flights over the United States to map out critical infrastructure that could be hit by cyberattacks. European allies, including those in NATO, are also signatories to the treaty. They have warned that, with Washington's exit, Russia will almost certainly respond by also cutting off their flights, which the allies use to monitor troop movements on their borders. For Trump, the decision is the third time he has renounced a major arms control treaty. 2 years ago he abandoned the Iran nuclear accord, negotiated by former President Barack Obama. Last year he left the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, again saying that he would not participate in a treaty that he said Russia was violating. The Open Skies Treaty was negotiated by former President George H.W. Bush and his Secretary of State, James Baker, in 1992, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Senator Tom Cotton, R.R., has pushed for the Trump administration to withdraw from the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which has yet to enter into force, as well as the Treaty on Open Skies. He has argued that the pact allows spying capability that Moscow wouldn't otherwise possess, and that it doesn't give the United States any intelligence that isn't available elsewhere. Like so many treaties with Russia, the Open Skies Agreement was negotiated and signed with good intentions, then abused by Moscow for maximum advantage, Cotton wrote late last year in an op-ed piece in The Washington Post. Cotton praised the Trump administration's decision Thursday, but General Michael Hayden, a senior intelligence official in the Bush administration, was critical of the move. "This is insane," he tweeted, adding that he previously served as CIA director. Russia has said engagement in the treaty is valuable. Billingsley and his boss, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, disagree. Under the terms of the treaty, Trump's formal notice to Russia and the other signatories starts a 6-month clock toward final withdrawal. It requires a meeting of all the signatories within 60 days. Russia didn't adhere to the treaty. "So until they adhere, we will pull out, but there's a very good chance we'll make a new agreement or do something to put that agreement back together," Trump told reporters at the White House before leaving for Michigan. "So I think what's going to happen is we're going to pull out and the Russians, are going to come back and want to make a deal," Trump said. He added, "I think something very positive will work."